Aston Martin says that the DB12 is the world's first super tourer, which to me sounds like it combines Grand Tourer and supercar. What is that like? We are going to find out. So when the DB11 became the DB12, it lost the V12. But that's okay because the power number went up by quite a lot. This one here is the DB12 Volante, which is the convertible version. It was revealed to the world last year at Monterey Car Week at Quail, so we saw it there, but today we get to drive it. In terms of the powertrain, the V12 is gone. The DB12 only comes with a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. It is AMG sourced, but done by Aston Martin, and the power number increase is honestly rather staggering. This 4-liter hot V twin-turbo V8 now makes 671 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. That is a massive increase compared to both the previous offerings. The original 4-liter twin-turbo V8 in the DB11 made like 528 horsepower, and even the 5.2 twin-turbo V12 in the DB11 was at 630 horsepower. So this V8 is substantially more powerful, which means it's quicker. Still rear-wheel drive, 8-speed ZF-sourced automatic transmission. They claim 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, top speed of 202 miles an hour. For a luxury 2+2 super tourer, those are all quite impressive numbers. How do they get that massive power increase? Bigger turbochargers and other changes to the tuning and everything on the engine for that huge power increase. In terms of exterior styling, you also have some updates. Around the back, it does look pretty similar to the DB11. It's a little bit wider, more aggressive, but up front, completely redone. You have a much larger signature Aston Martin grille to feed that more powerful engine. You need more airflow, but from a visual standpoint, I think it looks phenomenal. Really ties in with the DBS, with the larger grille. Headlights have also been redesigned, and I just think the whole front end blends that aggression, elegance that you want with a vehicle like an Aston DB12 here. 21-inch forged wheels as standard. This one's got carbon ceramic brakes on it, finishing this really cool dark bronze color. We have the black and silver top. There's a couple different color options for the convertible top. It's an 8-layer top that can fold while you're driving. It's quicker folding down than going up. It's like 14 seconds down, 16 seconds up. You have the Aston Martin Swan doors, which open at a slight upward angle so you can clear the curb, and also looks pretty cool. So with that, let's hop in the DB12 Volante. We're going to talk about the interior, what it's like to drive, and its value. Now, on the road. Whew, this thing is quick. The interior is a massive change for the DB12. They launched this with the coupe, obviously, and big step up from the DB11, especially in terms of technology. So Aston Martin hasn't been known for having the best infotainment system. If you go back to like the mid-2000s, it was unusable. It was just like a Garmin GPS nav unit, right? It was horrendous, the one that folded out. And then they went to an older Mercedes-based system, which was better, right? It worked. But now with this new generation, it is a ground up, all Aston Martin design. So that can come with some concerns, right? When you have a smaller volume manufacturer trying to do complex electronics, displays, the UI. But from first glance, it's pretty good. It looks very nice. You get this 10.25-inch touchscreen in the middle, and it's running everything Aston, controlling various things from your drive modes, obviously your nav, it's got CarPlay, got climate settings. But the other big thing is Aston kept buttons. And in today's day and age, that's like a rarity. I'm driving a Maserati MC20 this week, and there are like no buttons on it. Everything is in the touchscreen. Even your climate settings, you have to go through the touchscreen, opening and closing the top, all through the touchscreen. And while it makes the interior look really nice and clean, it can be a frustrating user experience. But with the DB12, we still have plenty of button shortcuts for climate stuff, for toggling your drive modes, for pretty much all the important things, right? You got exhaust buttons here, you have traction buttons, suspension dampers, everything. So that I think is quite nice. We have a digital cluster here in the middle, which has really crisp, nice graphics. It's reconfigurable, a lot of nice info, and the materials, as to be expected with a higher end vehicle like this. We have a lot of leather covering essentially every single surface, and then some nice open pore wood option on this one here. This leather is like a tan caramel color across this entire interior, which pairs nicely with that dark bronze-ish exterior. The wood trim is very nice, definitely leaning more towards the luxury side. I don't see any carbon fiber on this one. Reserve that for the sportier models in the lineup. Got a bit bumpier of a road coming up, so we're gonna change our drive mode and go back to GT, which softens everything. Ride comfort, definitely softens the dampers. You just rotate the start-stop button. The outside is a rotary dial, and that goes between all your different drive modes. There's 5 drive modes. There's GT, Sport, Sport Plus, and I'm assuming there's probably a wet, and can I talk individual? And they change all sorts of different parameters. Aston did a lot engineering-wise beyond just upping the horsepower by like 150 something. They've increased the torsional rigidity, the stiffness of it. That's especially important on a convertible because sometimes, if it's not like a carbon tub convertible, it can get a little floppy. You do have a weight penalty with the DB12 Volante compared to the coupe. They say around 240 pounds, which isn't terrible. A lot of that comes from just having the roof mechanism too, right? You have to make it fold and all that type of stuff, and then some added stiffness measures and so forth. But this has felt quite nice in the canyons. Let's go back into Sport Plus. Ooh, got some pops and burbles. Yeah, this thing is quick. It feels at 691 horsepower. I remember an era when, like almost 700 horsepower, you had to get the upper echelon of supercar. When the Aventador came out, the Ferrari F12, it was a huge deal. Now we're getting luxury GTs with twin turbo V8s making that power. Luxury, I guess, ST, Super Tourer? No, Porsche took that already. Anyways, the convertible top is an 8-layer top, so it helps isolate it a bit more. It's actually pretty quiet in here, not a ton of wind noise and everything. It's not a great convertible weather today, unfortunately. We're in Southern California in Malibu, and of all days, when I'm driving a convertible Aston Martin, it decides to be cloudy and sprinkling rain. It goes down in 14 seconds, up in 16 seconds at speeds up to 31 miles an hour. If you're within 2 meters of the car, you can use the key fob too for like a remote roof opening. And also something they were really proud of, it has the thinnest convertible stack, they called it, where like when it folds up, right, it's only like 10 inches, which is quite impressive. A little mechanical dance as everything folds back there. That's important because you still want to maintain some semblance of practicality with trunk space. This is not as practical as the coupe, obviously. It does eat into it a bit, but it's still got a trunk back there you can put stuff in, and it also has 2 back seats, which is going to be for luggage and your backpack and stuff, because I don't think as a human I want to sit back there. There's just not quite enough space. But a couple more things about what this is like to drive. This ZF8 is also pretty impressive. Upshift, downshifts, I mean, it does its best impression of a dual clutch, smooth, everything. It is still one of the best automatic transmissions out there. And the DB12, while a larger vehicle, it handles its mass pretty well. It's got these fancy dampers that can adjust very quickly, so forth. It's got a electronically controlled differential out back. I won't say it like shrinks around you. It still feels like the big GT kind of luxury thing. It is not going to be nimble in the canyons, but it was composed. This one has carbon ceramic brakes too, which is like a $14,000 option. very, very expensive. Speaking of expensive options, we should talk about the price. So the DB12 Volante, this one, from what I saw on the little fact sheet, starts at right around $265,000. This one is optioned to $323,000, and it has some pretty high sticker items, like this interior leather was like $10,000. The brakes, $14,000. It's got the wheels and a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, adds up to, call it $60-something thousand of options on this vehicle. But in this segment, if you look at some of the other options, that's how much these things cost. To me, the closest competitor in my mind would be a Bentley Continental GTC, the convertible version of the Continental. You can still get that with a V8 or the W12. They still have the 12-cylinder, and the GTC Speed that I test drove once was almost 400 grand, but that was even more ridiculous with options. The power figures of the W12 get closer to this. It's like 660 horsepower, I believe, 0 to 60 in a similar range, and also obviously tons of luxury. It's got the tech now too with the latest gen Bentley. It's got the styling and everything. Those two I think would be comparable cross shops, and the price point is similar. Other ones that come to mind would be the Ferrari Roma, which I haven't gotten to drive yet, but there's a Roma Spider now, and it's $270,000, $280,000 starting price. Obviously, with all these cars, you can go wild with the options, make it absolutely ridiculous. Similar-ish power performance. The last one that also came to mind, traditionally, I remember the Maserati Gran Turismo and Gran Cabrio would compete with this kind of class of Aston, but even the Trofeo model is definitely down on power and performance compared to this DB12, because Aston just took this big step forward from the DB11. But price point also is a bit lower with the Gran Cabrio. So in this world of super tourers, grand tourers, supercars, ultra luxury, super fast things, the DB12 has impressed me. When I first saw the coupe, I was like, whoa, that looks absolutely gorgeous, just from a styling standpoint. Huge step up from the DB11, which I thought was nice, but never absolutely loved. This, to me, looked like it had the presence, and then you read all the facts about the powertrain and that massive power increase. And now getting to drive it, it does seem like they built a super tourer. Still leans more towards tourer. Like, this is not a supercar, but it is pretty super quick. Styling, absolutely gorgeous, and engineering-wise, they did a lot. This is not just a mid-cycle refresh from the DB11. The fact that they went from DB11 to DB12, they changed the numerical number, right? It's the next generation car. Dropping the V12, I was like, oh, really? Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Maybe they're reserving it for future higher end, like a DBS type of car. But with the power point, it doesn't really matter that much. This is also the debut, I believe, of the Michelin Pilot 5S, Sport PS5S, right? Replacing the PS4S. And the PS4S is one of my favorite tires. I have them on the Z06. It's just such a perfectly well-rounded summer performance tire that when it gets wet or the road surface isn't as perfect, it still does its job so well. It lasts for a while. And with the PS5S, this is actually an Aston Martin specific spec. If you look at the side of the tire sidewall, it says AML after it. They're 325s out back, 21-inch forged wheels, so big wheels and tires, handling the weight. Don't remember if I mentioned, but this is about 240 pounds heavier than the coupe. And they tweaked a couple little things. It is slightly softer from the dampers and the rear springs. I'm sure some of it is to accommodate the weight, but this by no means, by taking the top off, became just like the super squishy, soft version, right? It's still pretty good. These adaptive dampers in Sport Plus. I'm gonna go back into GT and just kind of cruise casually, see what that's like. You know what? Let's slow down and put the roof down because the sun is kind of peeking out for a second. So keep the speed down. We'll drop that top. This is the black and silver finished convertible top. There's a couple different color options. And just like that, everything's latched. Yep, we have a convertible Aston Martin. Ooh, let's put it back into Sport Plus. Hear that V8. Get some exhaust pops and burbles too, right around like 4,000 RPM. You let off. Woohoo! It'll let you bounce the rev limiter too when you're in manual mode with the paddle shifters. Another cool little detail with the DB12, it debuts the new Aston Martin logo, which looks essentially the same, but apparently the font changed a little bit and the wings and like the lines have also been slightly revised. I'm looking at it right here on the steering wheel on the front. On the back it actually says like Aston Martin script too, the lettering, but I did not notice DB12 anywhere like on the exterior. I did not see a DB12 badge, which also is interesting. Another really cool thing, as I'm driving, I'm just remembering, the side view mirrors have been redesigned and they're like a one-piece unit now. You know how usually when you move the glass in the mirror, right, it's like the glass moving within the mirror casing. It's one entire thing. So when you're adjusting the mirror, the whole unit is shifting, and it's interesting. It looks really cool. It's like a frameless side view mirror, although I'd be terrified if, like, imagine like a bus accidentally like knocks it off or cracks it. That would not be cheap to replace. You can't just swap out the casing or the glass, but that is a new thing on the DB12. So after now getting to try out the DB12 Volante, I'm pretty impressed. This is definitely a very nice Super Tourer, but you know what this has me even more excited for is the new refreshed Vantage, because they did a similar thing. The styling, oh my gosh, I think it looks amazing, and the power increase is like up like 150, 160 horsepower. Who does that? Usually manufacturers like trickle out. They know they can do it. They know they can add an extra 100 horsepower easy to the engine, but they only give you like 30 or even 20 or maybe 15 in between the cycles, right? But Aston was like, nah, here's a update with an extra 150 horsepower. So I cannot wait to try out the new Vantage also. But with regards to the DB12 Volante, a Super Tourer, very nice convertible. Almost 700 horsepower.
There's a tunnel run coming.
Oh, is there? Oh, we have a tunnel. All right. Video's not over yet. We got to go through a tunnel and hear this exhaust. All right, ready? It's not like over the top, ridiculously crazy loud, so it still suits the character of being a touring like luxury vehicle, but it sure makes some nice rumbly V8 noises. That makes me happy. With that, I hope you enjoyed this first drive quick review of the 2024 Aston Martin DB12 Volante. Thanks for watching.